Today we're talking about breakfast. It's going to be quick and easy. The more people that jump on and interact, maybe it'll go longer, but this really is kind of a brainstorming sesh we're having this morning with breakfast. I can give you my ideas, but it's going to be even better if you come on and give me your ideas and we can mix and match and come up with things together. So many of you guys in this group are learning how to eat outside of a diet plan. And I get that can be really frustrating sometimes. I'll get messages from you guys in the inbox, and you say things like, help me, I need some new ideas. I don't know what to eat for breakfast. And that's pretty common when you're coming out of dieting because you're used to the diet plan. Let's see. I'm going to minimize so I can try to see your comments. Here we go. Yeah, now I can see your comments much better. So anyway, I think most of us that come out of dieting, if you're just now hopping on, can be like, you're trying to do this intuitive eating thing, you're trying to stop dieting, and it can be really common as you're transitioning to be like, I don't know what I want to eat for breakfast. Outside of like yogurt or a green smoothie, and I completely get it because I've been there. So today I want to just come up with some ideas or give you some tips or strategies so like what are some things that I can do for breakfast. Because if you're one of these people that sits there and you're listening to this and you're like, yes, I don't know what to eat for breakfast, definitely let me know. If this is you, just say me in the comments. If you're a client of mine or you're in the group program, if you're in the Food Confidence Club, then we brainstorm about this thing all the time. We're constantly coming up with ideas, and then this is one of my favorite things to do when I work with you guys. So let's start. What I tend to recommend is to pair food groups together. We're going to strip all the diet nonsense away and we're going to get back to the basics. And what I do is I recommend food groups together. I want you to think of food groups as carbohydrates, fat, protein, and fiber. So those four things. Okay, so carbohydrates, I want you to think of carbs like this. Okay, carbs are any food, yes, that breaks down into a sugar. So that would be your grains, your oats, your starchy veggies. So that would be like your corn, your peas, your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, those types of things. Processed snacks like cereals, anything you get out of a package, those are usually carbohydrates. Protein and fats. Protein and fats are going to keep you fuller a little longer. This is really important when we talk about gentle nutrition in the program, and how to fuel your body so it feels its best. That's what gentle nutrition ultimately is. So protein and fats take a little longer to digest in your body. And that means they sit in your stomach longer so you stay fuller. So when you're thinking about breakfast, think about having carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Proteins, your body uses them for so many things, building muscles, so many different jobs that it has in the body. And fats, you guys, especially in this group, it's important for us to know, regulate our hormones. They're involved in making hormones. They're involved in so many of the processes that help us regulate and balance our hormones. So fats are really important. Fats are great. They're also important because they keep us satiated. What that means is they keep us satisfied. They're part of the satisfaction factor. So flavor, if you don't have flavor in a meal, if you don't have enough fat in a meal, you're not going to be satisfied as long. So that's carbohydrates, protein, and fats. I want you to think also about fiber. And what I say when I mean by this is just think about fiber in terms of fruits and vegetables. Don't make it difficult, but that's where we get our fiber. And you guys know I'm a gut health background. I'm a dietitian. I help people regulate their digestion and their hormones. So many times it comes down to fiber. are we getting enough fiber? So fiber is important. So carbohydrates, protein, fat, and fiber are the four things you kind of need to think about when you're thinking about breakfast. So carbs. Carbs give us energy. We need carbs. Carbs is what our brain likes to fuel us. Our brain uses carbs to function. So carbs also help us feel satisfied. How many of you guys have ever eaten a chicken salad and then you're just like wanting something? I'll tell you, that salad would be a lot better if you put some dressing on it, put some croutons on it, make something out of that salad. So carbs help us feel satisfied too. They give us fiber. We don't think about that, but whole grains, like think about carbs. And I want you to think about carbs in a different way in this group. How many of you guys, struggle with carbohydrate? I want you to put carbs or a bread emoji down below. Just let me know. Carbs, they give us energy. They help us feel full. They help us feel satisfied. And they do have fiber. I'm going to flip the script on carbs and give you some ways to kind of appreciate carbohydrates. I do this with clients a lot when they're like, oh, I'm struggling with like the thought of eating carbs. And it's like, well, think about instead of what society has taught us about carbs, like to demonize carbs, think about what carbs can do for you, for your body. Protein. Hey, Kristen. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm doing a new Facebook Live dashboard. It's like, it's thrown me for a loop and I couldn't see my comments and it's very weird. Must be the algorithm, but I'm glad you found me. I don't know what Facebook has done now with the live. So I got on today and was like, this is fun. I have to figure this out today. But we were just chatting about macronutrients. Now, that can be a real trigger word, by the way. I just threw that out. Macros can be a real diety term. But all that means is carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So when you're thinking about breakfast, and this can be with any meal, if I'm brainstorming with clients, is think about if you're not feeling a certain way after a meal, like if you're not having enough energy, if you're not feeling satisfied. So many times I'll tell people, they're missing something in that meal. Here's how to go back when you put your curiosity cap back on and you start questioning, okay, well, what did I eat for breakfast? What did I eat at this last meal? What was going on? When you're asking yourself these questions to try to tune into your body and what it's communicating to you, you can say, well, did I have carbohydrates? Did I have protein? Did I have fats in that meal? So I'll recap since you just jumped on, Kristen. But definitely, I want this to be more of a brainstorming kind of session, or it's going to be super quick because I'm just going to be giving you like my favorite breakfast ideas, which might not be what you guys that are watching this later are your favorites. This is really about tuning in your body, but I want to give you some basic, solid, gentle nutrition to put into practice when you're putting things together. So carbohydrates give us what? Energy. Carbohydrates help us feel full and satisfied, and carbohydrates do have fiber. So all of those are great things. I think you jumped on when I was talking about not demonizing carbs, but let's think about the good things that they do for us, because they do so many things and they are our body's preferred energy source. Proteins and fats help us feel sustained for longer periods of time. So if you ever notice, and this is kind of I have a feeling your fullness activity that I'll do with clients, and it'll be like, well, there's a list of several things, and then there's a list of several things I want you to change about that meal. And it's like, okay, I want you to do this test yourself, but I want you to have a bowl of oatmeal and tune into your body and see how it feels after that oatmeal, and how long are you hungry after. Take note. Now I want you to try the oatmeal with some nuts, some fruit. We come up with some ways to enhance the oatmeal so that it is more than just carbs. We add fiber, we add some protein, maybe some nut butter to it. Try that tomorrow. Then go back and see at what point were you hungry, and really tune into your body. How full were you after you ate that oatmeal? Did you still feel like you needed something? So we kind of have a strategy session together, and they get this activity with this sheet with all these foods, and it's like, these are just carbs. Now these are pairing them with proteins and fats to see your different levels of fullness. And that's a way to help you tune back into your body. So I'm kind of brainstorming this in this coffee chat today. And I want you to think about mixing and matching when you think about these different carbs, fats, and proteins, and fiber. So if I could do anything, I would say, kind of go back and think about your plate in that way. So I'm going to give you some of my favorites right now, and I want you guys to hop in if you have anything to add to that. So for instance, this is kind of triggering for me because I developed a food product several years ago, and it was when I was in my very diety phase of life. I was, had the meal prep plans with the detoxes, but overnight oats. As a matter of fact, I didn't eat overnight oats for several years when I was becoming an intuitive eater because they triggered me. It was a diety kind of food in my mind, and I will tell you, it's been over 5 years now, 6 years now, and I can eat overnight oats again, but I see them in a new way. I finally can eat them and stomach them and not think of them as a diet food. Some things that I enjoy about overnight oats, it's hot here in Florida, and hot oats don't appeal to me right now. So overnight oats have been something that I've just recently picked back up, not in a diety way, not as part of a detox, but as something I really and truly enjoy. And what I make sure that I do to make sure that they have enough to sustain me, so that I'm, a lot of times when we get into gentle nutrition, and I tread lightly here because I know you guys, I want you to have solid nutrition information, but I don't want you to turn intuitive eating into a diet. So Kristen, we got a comment. She says, yes, I have foods like that. Overnight oats is one of those. True. And it took a while, and I finally had a craving for them. And it's been years, and it actually came from someone I follow on Instagram, and it was like an inspiration. And I was like, it was peaches. It was summer. It's hot here in Florida. I made them, and what I love about I think it was work week lunch. What I love about them is they're the only meal prep type company online that is rooted in intuitive eating and health at every size. So you won't find calories, you won't find macros, you won't find any of those triggering words on any of her recipes. She uses sugar, she uses everything because all foods fit. So I loved it, and so I tried her overnight oats, and it was peaches and cream, and it was great. So back to how I would structure overnight oats to make sure that it was filling enough for me, get me through the morning. And if you're using this idea of like, okay, well, for gentle nutrition to keep me satisfied long enough, what does it need? It needs more than just oats. It needs some fat, it needs some protein, and some fiber. Now, oats have fiber in them, but things that I would think of to like put into my overnight oats would definitely be a nut or a nut butter. That's a protein and a fat. Chia seeds are great because sometimes for me, overnight oats seem to be, can tend to be a little runny. So I'll put chia seeds in them to help soak up some of that liquidy, and put fruit in them. So back to what did I say? Carbs, fats, protein, and fiber. So some type of fruit in there. I don't really, I see people putting, to me, very odd things like zucchini and squash and overnight oats. That's to me, that's a little that's diet phase again. That was the diet phase of my life. I'll enjoy my vegetables some other time. So, but for me, I'll put fruit in my overnight oats, and then it's a pretty solid, rounded out meal that's gonna not make me hangry. So when I say this, it's not diet version. Diet brain can come into play and always be like, how long can I go without eating? Or, how can I go? That's not what I mean. What we're talking about here when we're talking about keeping you full and satiated, many times, you guys, I hear from you and you're like, when we sit down and we talk and we get down to the nitty gritty of it all, you're not feeding yourself enough food. So you're maybe having like something light for breakfast and you're going hours without eating, and then what's happening is you're hangry, so you eat everything you can. You don't make the choices that maybe you would make if you had enough meals and snacks. So we're talking about regular, reliable meals and how you can make your meals full and satisfying for you. Especially breakfast meals, but you can apply this to, like I said, any meal. So this is just oats as an example. Love for you to give me any of your favorite breakfast foods and we could just play around with that. Someone mentioned this in the group this morning and I thought this was a good example. I bagel sandwiches are like some of my favorite breakfasts. And it's very easy because it's egg, cheese, and bread. And you've got all three right there. So did I have a fruit or a vegetable? No. Am I going to beat myself up? No. I don't want you to like nitpick and say like, oh, at breakfast I have to have a carbohydrate, a fat, a protein, and a fruit or a vegetable. If it doesn't have fruits or vegetables on every single meal of the day, then that's totally fine. Will tell you this, what I found out. I have so many of you guys say, intuitive eating isn't healthy for me. Like I hear you say, I have diabetes or I have, this or that health condition. I'm not going to be able to do intuitive eating. And you guys, I can say over my reflection of my years of learning this and becoming an intuitive eater is that I actually, as an intuitive eater, eat way more vegetables now than I ever did when I was dieting. So do I feel like I have to have a vegetable in my breakfast sandwich? No, but that is literally one of my favorite breakfasts, is an everything bagel, egg, and cheese. And I've got enough protein, I've got some fats, I've got some carbohydrate that's going to give me energy through the day, and that's a really, really good breakfast. Cereal. Let's talk about it, because cereal used to be one of my fear foods. Cereal was the food that I would not, as the pantry doctor, right? I would not have a box of cereal in my house. I would walk down that aisle. Cereal, you can't pronounce all the ingredients in cereal. All that is BS, guys. Cereal is a carbohydrate. Your body uses it the same way it does a piece of fruit. It's going to break it down. It's going to use it for energy. But back to gentle nutrition. Not every cereal is the same. Some cereal has more carbs than others. I used to be a diabetic educator, so I would teach people about we would look at the serving sizes in different cereals because some are denser than others, some are lighter than others, like Air Puffs. Here's the thing. To make cereal a little bit more substantial, to last longer, say if you're, you want to keep your blood sugar stable. This is really important part of gentle nutrition when we get into like health conditions and things. Intuitive eating isn't like not caring about your health. It's quite the opposite of that, but it's in a flexible, realistic, sustainable way that's healthy mentally and emotionally. That's the easiest way I can say that. But if you want to eat cereal, all things have a place at the table. So how can you make cereal a little more sustainable when you're looking at it in terms of gentle nutrition and you're like, okay, well, what can you add to your cereal? Can you throw some nuts in your cereal? Can you throw some fruit in your cereal? What are some things that you can sprinkle on your cereal? Flax. So things that are going to add some healthy fats, some fiber, some protein. Because a lot of cereals don't have that. So what can you add to that? Not cut it out, but what can you add to that cereal? So that you're getting what you want. So it's putting things, if I can say it, to sum this all up, it's putting things together in a way that's truly satisfying. It's not taking away anything. It's like, okay, well, what can we add to that? And I think there was a comment in the group today, and it was like, hey, you know what? I love everything bagel, and I put cheese on it. And I mentioned, oh, wow, well, that's my favorite thing, right? I have to have an egg on it and turn it into a sandwich. And they said, well, my stomach doesn't handle that in the mornings. And that is absolutely knowing yourself and knowing your body. And a lot of times when I start working with women to become more intuitive eaters, to pay attention to their body, sometimes I find that they'll tell me they don't want to eat breakfast. They just don't eat breakfast. If that's you, then I do challenge you to maybe talk to me about it, first of all, because there's some strategies that we can do if you're not a breakfast eater, because that doesn't mean that you can't tolerate breakfast. What it might mean is that your senses are deadened to, you've been on diets for so many years that maybe your metabolism has been affected and maybe your body signals have been dulled. And so maybe it's the case where we need to talk about if you're getting enough nutrition. And there are ways to bring that back to life, that hunger. I have ladies tell me they don't feel hungry. You can bring that hunger back to life. It's probably just been deadened or squashed from years and years of dieting. So, if you're one of these people that's saying, Wendy, I'm not a breakfast, maybe. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying that you have to eat breakfast every day. There's just, and this is going to be very individualized once I know you and I know your health history and things like that. But, maybe you don't want to eat breakfast someday because maybe you had a really filling dinner the night before. And there's so many different scenarios. That's what I love about intuitive eating is we're not robots. We are not cars. We don't all need the same plan because we're all genetically different. And intuitive eating is finding out what works for you, knowing your body, learning and understanding your body's signals, and really developing that relationship again with your body that's been lost. We're all intuitive eaters. We were all born that way. So Kristen says, I'm not hungry until 9:30 or 10. Okay, but whoa. So I try to find something a little before. Okay, so a little before that. She says she tries to find something to avoid the hungry horrors. So we call that, or I call that hanger mode, hangry. And the intuitive eating, though, I think they refer to it as primal hunger mode. So at that point, yeah, if you've maybe been busy, maybe you're rushing getting your kids off to school, maybe there's a million things to do, maybe you're checking emails and you get down that bunny trail and things happen and then it's 9:30 or 10 and then Kristen says, whoa, if any of you guys can relate to this, let me know, put me in the comments because I know I can and have in the past. This is where intuitive eating comes in and really listening and knowing your body. You might not be hungry, but you might know, okay, if I have a little something now, will it keep my blood sugar stable? And then I don't go into this primal hunger mode because when that happens, you have these swings and these shifts. And you usually eat, like I said, probably way more than you would have if you would have taken care of yourself by having enough meals and snacks throughout the day. And sometimes you just go and make choices that you're just whoa, okay, I probably would have, but it doesn't matter. No shame, no guilt. Whatever you choose, it's always a choice. So that's the good thing about intuitive eating. Putting on the curiosity cap and saying, wow, okay, I'm not really that hungry when I get up, but maybe if I have a little something, just like Kristen said, I won't be like, what did you call them? The hunger horrors, or primal hunger mode or crazy, hangry, whatever it is. So yeah, when you learn this type, I guess this way of mixing and matching to plan your meals, it makes planning meals easier and easier. If you feel anxious or overwhelmed, just let's pick waffles for a second. Let's pick waffles. Put a little nut butter on them. Sometimes that's scary for people. So, okay, if nut butters are too scary for you, maybe pick cream cheese, or find something that works for you and pick a couple of these things. Maybe it's fruit, cream cheese on a waffle, Greek yogurt. Find a combination that doesn't feel scary and that works for you, and start there. And if you're someone that's listening to me and maybe you're struggling with this, you're struggling with your choices, you're struggling with allowing yourself to eat carbs or fats, those are just usually the two most demonized. That's why I said those two. Reach out to me and just let me know. Coffee chat, if you want a coffee chat, all you have to do is just put a coffee emoji, or say coffee, and we can chat about it. And also did want to say before I hopped off today, oh wait, there's another comment. Kristen, my kids will choose string cheese with their waffles. See, whatever works. And I love that, because your kids are choosing what they want to eat. And that's a whole other topic, is like families and intuitive eating. But they truly do intuitive eating in its purest form. Yeah, cheese and waffles, and get it. They don't know, and this is what I love, is when I'm talking to people about kids. Don't get into carbohydrates, proteins, fats with them until they get old enough to start asking you about it, because of that sheer fact. Kids know. We're born that way. We're born intuitively. So Kristen's kids are getting waffles and string cheese. They're getting their carbs and their protein and their fat with that. So I think that's a wonderful example. And I don't know if you guys know, I was on vacation this last week. So I was thinking about it when I was on vacation. It's like, okay, I am going to come back, and the strategies, the things that I do, the ways that I think about food when I'm going on vacation or when I'm on vacation, we're going to talk about that. So our workshop this month is how to eat intuitively when I travel, because I know a lot of you guys struggle with that. And we're probably past that season, because we traveled when it got slow. So I know your kids are back in school, but I always think it's a relevant topic and one to come back to. So the replay will be inside our Food Confidence Club app too. So you can always go back and watch it before your next vacation. If you're not a member and you want more information, just put membership below in the comments, or reach out to me, and I'll be happy to tell you more about it, give you the link so you can check it out and learn more. All right, it was great to see you today, Kristen. I'm glad you hopped on. If you're catching the replay, #replay, and leave me any comments so I can come back and chat with you guys later. All right, bye guys.